From Pirkei Avos, we're in Parak Aleph, Mishna Tezvav, and today's learning should be in memory of my father, Alav Shalom. It's his yahrzeit today. This day, 27 years ago, he passed away, and this learning should be zechus, a merit for his soul, for his neshama. It's 9:25 in the morning now. Already davened, got back from the cemetery, got a lot done today. Literally just got back 5 minutes ago, so this learning should be a memory of that. Shammai Omer Aseh Soras Keva. Shammai says that you should make your Torah learning set. There's going to be many explanations of what this means. We're going to go through a lot of them. Omer Ma'at Ve'oseh Harbe. A person should say a little but do a lot. And then V'havi Makabel Eskol Ha'adam B'Sefer Panam Yafos. A person, we should greet everyone with a good demeanor, with a good face, smiling face. Omer Ma'avel Harbe just reminds me of people who are all talk, no game. You want to do the opposite. You want to talk a little but have good game, so to say. Get a lot done. It's interesting, V'havi Makabel is kol ha'adam. There's a hey before the adam. Ha'adam. Greet everyone. What's the hey before the hey hayadia? There's significance. Let's go one by one. What does the Mishnah mean when it says make a person's learning Torah set? We're going to discuss many explanations of that. That's going to be the main context over here. We're going to discuss about the other two lines of the Mishnah as well. And then we're going to discuss what's the connection between this Mishnah and the previous Mishnah. One explanation of what it means to make your Torah learning set is Rashi explains that the entire day one's learning should be set. Entire day. Rashi offers another explanation. Set aside time every single day. They're going to ask when we go up at the end of our life, Kavati itim l'Torah, do we set time? Do we set aside time to learn daily? Explains Rashi, that's what this is referring to over there. He then says that one should learn for a set amount. For example, he has 5 chapters that he learns of something every single day, 4 or 5 prakim of Mishnayos, whatever it is, one daf of Gemara, for example. Just to add in, this is another topic, not for now, but there's a well-known concept of the daf yomi. Daf yomi, which means that you learn a daf of Gemara, a page of Gemara every single day. It's more about the yomi than the daf. It's about every single day being consistent rather than the set amount. For me personally, I try to do set amounts, but if I need more clarity in something, if I need to look into it, what am I rushing for? The main thing is to get clarity and to grow from the learning. Explanation number 3, we're going to delve into this one a little bit more. The Rambam explains that one's learning should be the root and his main priority. Everything else should follow the learning. If they happen, then they happen. If they don't happen, then they don't happen. In other words, a time that a person makes to be kovei itim l'Torah, the time that a person sets aside, everything else should drag after that and follow that. If it happens, it happens. If not, not. What's a story that properly demonstrates this idea? There's a story with the Beis Ephraim. Rabbi Ephraim Margolius, a wealthy Talmud Chacham, a scholar, and his wife would manage their business while her husband would learn Torah full time. She would get his business advice only during the short meal breaks that he would have. One time, there's a story of a diamond merchant who arrived in town and proposed that they invest in a business deal. And the potential for this deal was huge profits. Now, it happened to have been that at that moment, the rabbi was learning. So the Rebbitzin, she sent a messenger to go to the rabbi to ask for his business advice. After all, this is a very large investment, but on the one hand, with potential profits, major potential profits, but on the other hand, he wasn't there because he was learning the base measures. So she sent to get the business advice. This is time sensitive after all. So the messenger arrived to the base medrash where the rabbi was learning over there, And he said, he sent back to his wife, he says, told the messenger, tell my wife, sorry, I can't interrupt my regular learning schedule for this purpose. When the rabbi came home, he told his rebbitzin, she said, what's going on? He explained. The Gemara says in Brachos on Samach Gimel and Beis, Shabbos Mem Gimel, Pei Gimel and Beis. Ein divrei Torah miskaimim el b'misha meimis atzmo aleha. The Torah only endures, the Torah only lasts within someone who kills himself over it. Like the Rambam explains that in Hilchos Talmud Torah, don't be involved with all the pleasures when you're learning. Torah is not going to last with all those pleasures when you're putting your feet up, sipping a pina colada. That's not the way to learn. You have to put in a lot of energy and exertion. It's difficult to learn Torah. So Rabbi Margalios explained, the Torah only lasts someone who killed himself over it. That means when someone learns Torah, they have to view themselves as if they're dead. They're dead from the rest of the world. During the times that a person sets aside for learning, he has to view himself as if he's not alive. Then his Torah will survive. In divrei Torah miskaimin, the Torah will only last el b'misha meimis esatzmo aleha. You have to pretend that you're dead, to be dead over it. So he said, if I was dead, I couldn't offer my opinion. So too now, pretend as if I'm dead. It's actually quoted on the art scroll in Pirkei Avos on page 45. Beautiful story. Explanation number 4. The Bartanura explains that one's main dealings during the day and night should be Torah. When you get tired from your Torah learning, then you should work. Explanation number 5. By the way, we should point out that you should see the lengthy video that was around 50 minutes, the shir, that was put up on Mishna Yud in Pirkei Avos when we discussed the difference learning versus working and about learning full time and who should be doing it and who shouldn't. And reason number 5, make your Torah set. That means, explains the Bartanura, don't be stringent for yourself, but lenient for others. It's got to be set, be consistent. Explanation number 6, Rabbeinu Yonah explains, he quotes the Avos to Rabbi Nassan that says, whoever makes his Torah learning set and his work secondary will be made a first priority in the next world. It's in the Avos Rabbi Nassan Kafches. But the inverse is also correct. Someone who makes his work priority 1 and his Torah secondary will be made secondary in the world to come. Rabbeinu Yonah explains that someone who didn't sin and didn't make his Torah learning priority 1, even if you will merit the next world, will be secondary over there. It should be pointed out, this doesn't necessarily have to do with the amount of time that one allocates to learning versus working. It's more of a mindset also. Explanation number 7, the Gemara in several places asks how certain rabbis merited longevity. For example, look in Megillah, Chav Zayin Amud Beis, the Chav Ches Amud Aleph, Tainis, Tav Chaf Amud Beis, Shabbos, Kuf Yod Ches Amud Beis. The Gemara relates that different rabbis provided different answers. And they had different merits. Different rabbis had different merits over here that they had for being so scrupulous with certain mitzvahs. What's the bottom line at the end of the day? What actually causes longevity? The common denominator between all of the answers is miyamai, in all of my days. In other words, every single day they performed their mitzvah in a preferable manner. Each rabbi was consistent in whatever he did. According to my humble opinion, with this idea we could explain our Mishna. Our Mishna is teaching us consistency. Means make your Torah set, have consistency. The time that's dedicated to learning, keep it no matter what. Explanation number 8, and some of these explanations are some of my favorite explanations in all of Pirkei Avos. The Tiferes Yisrael, one of my favorite mafarshim that I love learning. What a great commentator. Tiferes Yisrael offers several explanations. Do not learn derech harai in a temporary manner. This means don't learn when you're lying down. We already alluded to this above slightly. You won't be able to understand the learning properly if you're learning that way. Don't eat. Don't be involved with malacha, with work while you're learning. Learning requires full focus. Look at the Rambam in Mishna Torah and Hilchos Talmud Torah and Paragimel Halacha Yud Beis. That's what we alluded to before. Don't think about other matters when a person's learning. A lot of times people they're learning, they're spacing out. Don't think about anything else. Block everything else out. Yes, it's difficult, but it could be done. Block it all out. This is where it comes from for learning in a loud voice. When someone learns in a loud voice, his other thoughts will be scattered. Will get scattered. They're going to go away. When you learn out loud, it's easy to block out everything else. Furthermore, someone who learns in a loud voice, it will make an impression on his soul more. He will remember the material better and for a longer duration of time. The Gemara in Eruvin on Nun Dalet Amud Beis relates that someone forgot the Torah, that who someone who learned silently forgot the Torah after 3 years. The Torah that he learned. We see from here that you should learn out loud. The Rambam relates that anyone who raises his voice when he learns out loud, will have his learning endure, will last. This is in the Mishnah Torah Hilchos Talmud Torah, Paragimah Halacha Yud Beis. However, someone who learns silently will forget what he learned quickly. This is explicit in the Rambam. Explanation number 9. This is also one of my favorite explanations. It's a Pharisee explains that one should learn in a place that doesn't have a lot of noise. Learn in an isolated, quiet place. And it's good to learn in a spacious and nice room with a lot of windows. One should also use a good safer with good printing. A few points on this very important explanation, which is very concise, but yet very powerful. Number one, it was established that in all of the yeshivas, we all learn together in one big room, not like secular studies where it's quiet, it's in a library. And the reason for that is because there's going to be a give and take, there's going to be clarity that's gained when you're learnt with other people. It depends on the exact learning that a person is getting done. So that's when this Tiferes Yisrael would apply about learning in an isolated, quiet place. This idea of learning in an area with windows, spacious, learn in a comfortable environment. Also, we could add in good air conditioning in the summer, good heat in the winter. Learn in a comfortable environment that you'll be able to focus properly. The windows, learn in a place that has good light. It's very important. Regarding using a sefer that has good printing, the idea is Rabbi Akiva Eiger, he told his son, he said, use the best pen to write, use the best paper. The idea is, and we discussed this previously on the Mishnah, Kenelecha chaver, acquire for yourself a friend. Rashi explains, if I'm not mistaken, it's Mishnah Vav, the sixth Mishnah of the first parak. Rashi explains that a chaver can mean a sefer. In his first explanation, Rashi says it's referring to a sefer. And we discuss over there the importance of having good svarim with good print. Explanation number 10. Tiferes Yisrael explains that one should learn straight without interruptions. Don't learn a little and then interrupt, then learn more. Rather, learn straight without interruptions. With this, we could delve into the concept of ritzifos, which is what we discussed in Sefer Yeshua and Perek Aleph Pasuk Ches, one of the recordings over there, continual learning. And we quoted over there the Gemara in Ksubas, which in short relates that Rabbi Akiva learned for 24 years straight on Samach Beis in Ksubas. However, in the middle of that period, he went home in 12 years and he overheard his wife Rachel saying, if Akiva would hear me right now, I would say go back and learn another 12 years, even though the neighbor said you're a living widow, what are you doing? And immediately turned around. Reb Chaim Shmuelovitz, a well-known concept, many say it, Rabbi Akiva knew that it would be a big interruption if he would just say hello. First of all, who knows if he would have returned to the yeshiva? And even if he did, if he would have the same enthusiasm and fervor and diligence with his learning, even a seemingly small, brief, insignificant interruption could cause a severe spiritual descent. He would leave the Ritzifos. Number one, who knew if he would go back? And even if he would leave that continual learning, the Ritzifos, learning straight. The art scroll on Pirkei Avos over here, on page 176 quotes the story and explains that learning Torah is like a kettle on the fire. You could heat it and reheat it all you want countless times, but guess what? It will never reach the boiling point if you don't let it boil for more than a few minutes. All of the heating is useless. You have to leave it on there. Another analogy is a 2 carat diamond is worth more than a 1 carat diamond, much more than double more. That's the idea over here. The Sefer Tapuchi Zahav explains that Rabbi Akiva, in his first 12 years that he learned, had 12,000 students, Talmidim, and on the last 12 years also. Why didn't he have more than 12,000? The answer is because he had this interruption, so to say, after 12 years. And we know that the Shlomo Melech says the Torah is even greater than diamonds. Zikari him penimim achol chafetzecha lo yishvu bo in Mishle and Gimel Tezvav. The same applies to Torah learning. Someone who learns for 1 hour, takes a break, and then learns for another hour is incomparable to someone who learns for 2 hours straight. 2 hours straight isn't just twice as much as 1 hour, even though mathematically 1 + 1 = 2. Nevertheless, the Torah doesn't work that way. The same applies to a chassan and a kala, a groom and a bride. When they get married, it's not just 1 + 1 = 2, it's a lot more. You could apply this to anything. Someone who learns 15 minutes straight, takes a break, and then learns another 15 minutes is not as great as someone who learns a half an hour straight. Another way to understand Rabbi Akiva's fruit that is prematurely picked off a tree is not going to taste as good. In fact, it can give you a stomach ache if it's picked off too fast versus the food when it was picked, when it, in the proper time, when it was ripe. Furthermore, the unripe fruit could damage your body, like we just said. So that's an idea over here. It's problematic for someone prematurely to stop the learning, to get out of yeshiva early. It's unhealthy for the soul. Just like lahavdil, it would be problematic for a doctor to leave medical school too early. So too, it would be a problem over here as well. Leaving yeshiva too early. Beautiful analogy. We don't take breaks, we break records, I once heard from someone. What fueled Rabbi Akiva to learn for 24 years straight without interruption? It was the rock, and he basically realized, in short, we discussed in the past already, every single drop of Torah matters. Discussed this already to the past. We could apply this to our life of being consistent in any way, shape, or form with the learning that we do. We already discussed this, no need to repeat it over there. See the recording on Yehoshua with the Ritzifos on Perek Al Pasuk Ches with continual learning for more details. Explanation number 11 of what it means to make your Torah learning set to Tiferes Yisrael explains, and this is a very important idea. We have to get clarity when we learn. Don't move. This is what we already alluded to before with the Daf Yomi. Don't move to a new topic until you feel that the previous topic you learned is set like a nail and completely clear. It's nailed in. After this, review the previous topic until it is so clear to you that you don't need to look in a safer to remember the information. How do you know you learned the topic well enough? When you remember it and you can tell it over to someone else without even looking in the safer. That's how you know that you learned the topic well enough. That's what it means, make your Torah learning set. Explanation number 12. The Musar Avos explains that the word keva could also mean come from the word gezel. See over there for more details. See also the pasuk in Malachi in Gimel Ches. The Mishnah is therefore instructing us to steal time to learn Torah. For us, it's pretty known by now. We have had several electric cars for years now. We don't go to the gas station, but for those people who go to the gas station, that's a great opportunity to learn for a minute or two. Put on a shear, put on a video, learn from a safer, steal your time to learn. Or even if a person, personally, we never go to the fast chargers because we don't travel a lot, and even when we do, it's less than 300 miles, so we never need to stop at a fast charger. But for people who use fast chargers, same idea. You're there for 10, 15 minutes waiting for a charge. That's a great time to turn on a shear, great time to open a safe, or steal the learning time, so to say. During a lunch break, a breakfast break, whatever it is, when you're commuting to and from work, steal the time, take advantage. Always learn Torah, balechtecha b'derech when you're in the car. The Ohr HaChaim HaKadosh says, "U'bechuseichem lo yiseilechu," and Rashi over there quotes the Torah as Kohanim Shitu Amelim b'Torah in the beginning of Parshas Bechukosai that you should Torah and Torah. Ohr HaChaim HaKadosh offers over 40 explanations. One of them is when you're on the way, learn Torah. Apply it, steal the time. Explanation number 13, the Rashbates explains that this Mishnah doesn't mean that someone should learn Torah the entire day, contrary to the previous explanations. The Gemara says, and we discussed this in the Avos on Mishnah 10, Mishnah Yud over there in the first parak. The Gemara in Brachos on Lamed Hey says that most people definitely should be working. Rather, what this Mishnah means, set time to learn every single day. Set that time. That time should be a set time. A set time to learn, not distracted. Completely not distracted with anything else, so you can fully focus on the Mishnah. Everything else should be secondary to the time. Nothing else in the world matters, like we said before. The Gemara over there in Brachos Lamed relates that the earlier generations made their Torah learning priority one. Set their work were secondary. Guess what? They had success with both. However, the later generations did the opposite, and they were unsuccessful with both. Furthermore, the Gemara in Shabbos relates on Lamed Aleph that when a person passes away and goes to the heavenly court, they're going to ask when he goes to Shamayim, Kavata itim l'Torah, did you set time to learn? Meaning, did you make the learning set and the main priority? Did you make it keva, kavata itim l'Torah? Same word, set. Explanation number 14. Rabbeinu Avram Azulai explains that the time we set to learn has to be set and don't miss it no matter what. Now let's go to the next part of the Mishnah. What does the Mishnah mean when it says speak a little but do a lot? A lot to say on this. In short, the Rambam quotes the Gemara in Baba Metzia on Pei Zayin Amud Aleph, which says that tzaddikim, righteous people, they say a little and they do a lot. However, Rishaim, the wicked people, they say a lot and they don't even do a little, like Ephron. This we're going to discuss some more towards the end of the parak on the Mishnah that talks about also being silent, and it will come up again in this Masechta. We'll delve into this concept more about speaking a little but doing a lot. What does it mean that you should greet everyone? V'havi makabel is kol ha'odom b'sefer panim yafos. Greet everyone with a good demeanor. Rabbeinu Yonah explains that one should have a good demeanor towards others in order that people will be pleased by him. Bartanura explains that when you have guests over, don't provide for them the food with a bad face. Someone who gives all the gifts in the world but with a bad face is considered as if you gave him nothing. But the opposite is also true. You give someone something, an insignificant gift, but with a nice smile, it's as if you've given him everything. The Gemara in Brachos relates on Yud Zayin Amud Aleph that they said about Rabbi Yochanan ben Zakkai, see Sukkah Kaf Ches Amud Aleph, that no one ever proceeded saying hello to him, even someone who wasn't Jewish in the marketplace. Tiferes Yishal explains that the Mishnah over here is teaching us to greet everyone nicely, even someone who isn't Jewish. It doesn't matter if the person is wealthy, poor, or respected individual. That's why the Mishnah says a whole to greet everyone nicely. The letter Hey before Adam teaches us that we have to greet even someone who isn't Jewish nicely. That's at least one explanation. Greeting people nicely increases love between people. Greeting people nicely also increases friendships. It's impossible for someone to have more success than someone with a lot of friends, which means it's impossible for a person to have more success than someone with a lot of friends if he doesn't have a lot of friends. Having friends is very important. The Avos Rabbi Nassan is what we alluded to before in Yud Gimel Dal. It says that someone who gave his friends all the gifts in the world but with a negative face is considered to have given him nothing. But conversely, someone who greets his friend with a smile is considered to have given him all of the gifts in the world, even if he didn't give him anything. Rabbi Yechiel Michal Gordon says that a sour face is comparable to a bor b'reshus harabim, a pit in a public domain. The reason for this is a sour face is contagious. It causes others to be infected with the germ of depression. It's like a COVID-19 in its peak. It's a contagious disease. The Gemara in Ksubos, interesting Gemara on Kuf Yud Aleph Amud Beis relates that someone who shows his friend the white of his teeth, aka by smiling, does more for him than if he had offered him a drink of milk. A smile is a signal to a person that he is cared for. Often, the emotional need to feel wanted is more powerful than the physical hunger or thirst. This is why it's better to smile to someone than give them a nice glass of milk, a nice cold drink. And the reason is because the drink is a lot of times their emotional needs are greater than the physical thirst. This is quoted than their physical needs. This is quoted by the article on page 47. Perhaps we could explain this Gemara in Ksubis based on an idea from Rabbi Yerucham Olshin, the Rosh Yeshiva of BMG, one of the Rosh Yeshivas, in his Yareach L'Moadim on Sukkot and Chelik Beis Maimer Ayin, pages 493 to 498. Why are we only obligated to remember the clouds of glory, the Anania Kavod, and not the man or not the be'er? Not the man, not the water that was provided. We just quoted in the Tainus Gemara Shirim and the recordings, we just quoted about those, the man, the be'er, and the man, the be'er, and the Anania Kavod, if I'm not mistaken, is Tes Amud Aleph. I know it's definitely not Amud Aleph towards the bottom, might be Ches. We quoted over there. And why? Why is it so important? Sukkot is all about the Anania Kavod. Why? Why not the man or the bear? Furthermore, why are they called the Anania Kavod with the clouds of glory? What's so? Where's the glories? What's the explanation? The Rambam relates in Hilchos Eivel and Perik Yud Daled Halachos Aleph and Beis. Talks about the mitzvahs in general, and then he says the mitzvah of escorting guests is so important, and it's even better than having guests over. And the Rambam see over there how important the mitzvah of escorting a guest is. The Gemara in Sota on Mem Vavam and Beis, I thought it was Mem Zayin, but explains that someone who doesn't escort a guest is considered to have murdered his guests. The Gemara says, "Kol she'inam alave ki'ilu shayfech damin." According to the Rambam, escorting guests is more important than many other forms of kindness that he mentioned, many other types of chesed. What is the explanation? Why is escorting guests so important? To the extent that someone who didn't escort a guest, it's tantamount to murder. How could we explain this? And lastly, why aren't some people careful with this? Well, regarding the last question, nowhere in the four sections of Shulchan Aruch will you find any halachas. There's no laws about hachnasas orchim, having guests over. The Darchei Moshe, in fact, this is the Ramah in Choshen Mishpat, at the end of Choshen Mishpat, in Siman Tav Chav Zayin, wonders why people aren't careful to escort their guests. And the Darchei Moshe explains that it's because the person being escorted is mochel. Our guests typically forgive their honor, his honor of being escorted. However, the Ramah says that even so, you should minimally escort him 4 amos, around the distance of 6 to 8 feet outside of the house. That's reason one. They're mochel. They say you don't need to escort me. Another reason why people are lenient with this is based on an Aruch HaShulchan. Aruch HaShulchan over there in Choshen Mishpat, Tav Chavav Hos Beis, leniently explains that if the guests aren't traveling by foot, they don't need to be escorted. For example, if they're traveling by a horse, by a wagon, a car, they don't need to be escorted. Third leniency is if two or more guests are walking out together, the host doesn't need to escort them because it's as if they are escorting each other. But even so, why does the Gemara talk about how important it is to escort a guest? Tantamount to murder if you don't. Someone who gives his guests food and drinks has physically provided for their needs. However, someone who escorted his guests has spiritually taken care of his needs. Someone who gets escorted gets his spirits raised. Emotionally, he's raised. When we escort a guest, this demonstrates that we are honoring our guests. In other words, the honor shown to the guest by him being escorted lasts forever. Unlike the food and drinks, which is only temporary. This is why they were called clouds of glory, Anania Kavod. These clouds, in short, demonstrated that Hashem honored the Jewish people by escorting them through the desert. This is why we commemorate, one explanation why we commemorate specifically the clouds of glory and nothing else. This also sheds light on a person could spend a lot of money, take a lot of time, have the guests over. That's great. You took care of his physical needs. But the main thing is you show him honor. Because the physical need, the food's in 2 days, it's going to just be out of his body. It's going to be in the toilet, in the ocean. However, when you walk him out and you show him honor, that lasts forever. What's the connection between this Mishnah and the previous one? According to my humble opinion, The Mishnah statement, make your Torah learning set, refers to, as we saw, setting aside time to learn every single day. The way to do this is Omer ma'aver harbe. Speak a little but do a lot. Meaning, teach and speak concisely. The Gemara in the beginning of Psachim says, "Lo mishana adam l'talmid b'derech kasara." Whenever you teach, always do it in a concise manner, as short as possible, but with a lot of content. However, still aseh harbe. We have to do a lot, meaning we have to have good content, qualitatively and quantitatively. And after the shir, greet everyone with a good demeanor, with a smile. So I meant to ask, rather, what's the connection between the statements of this Mishnah? This explains the connection of the statements between this Mishnah, not this Mishnah and the previous Mishnah. So this explains the connection between the statements of the Mishnah. Sorry, I said the question wrong a few times.
Oh.
Any questions, comments?
Mm-mm.
What?
I don't think so, no.
No? Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, so we will resume on Monday, Mirzah Hashem.
Shkach.
Wonderful day. And Shabbos.
Travis, sorry, yeah. I'll wait till you're finishing, you stopping the recording.